Okay. Hi, I'm Jane Frizzell, and I think it's live streaming now. This is Steinbrecht Sessions, and this has been a weekly series of line upon line, precept upon precept, deep study into the chapter. What is the chapter name? It's chapter 3 of the Gymnasium of the Horse. And it's the section where he expounds upon the horseman's adage, the 2 golden rules of riding. Ride your horse forward and set him straight. Steinbrecht, the author of the section that we're examining, Gustav Steinbrecht, he did not invent the statement, ride your horse forward and set it straight. That has been, no one probably knows whoever quoted that, like who said that. But because it's very old. It's as old as riding, and riding is older than people think it is. The oldest treatises that we have on riding, for example, Xenophon's, that isn't when riding was invented. That's just the oldest written record we have. But it was going on long before then because Xenophon references his teachers. So obviously, you know, it was going on before then. And good riding was going on before there. And riding for utility and warfare was going on ever since man's relationship with the horse began, and no one actually knows when that is, even though people say they have ideas about it, they really don't know. And as for forward straight riding, and I mean, we really don't know. It's very, very old. Ride your horse forward and set it straight would apply to any utility of the horse, whether that was for travel or agriculture or warfare. And all of those, and let alone pleasure, which is now mainly what riding is. Riding is a sport and a pleasure, which is why it's become so stupid. Because when there was actual necessary reasons for it, there was less silliness, probably because the horse had to be efficiently going. Anyway, this section, it started on page 71 and it ends on page 78, and we're approaching the end. It is the section in this huge big book, right? It's a huge 300-pager. But this section, he is talking about ride your horse forward and set it straight, and setting it out for us in a way that no other author does, although so many other of the masters relied on what he said, on how he set it forth. Horsemen assume it, and they should. It should be safe to assume that a horseman, especially one that calls itself classical, rides forward and straight. This is very fundamental golden rule. And these Steinbrecht sessions have been on this section where he lays out, ride your horse forward and set it straight. And he even says, by this I mean. And he's told us what he means, and what bona fide or legitimate horsemen mean when they talk about these 2 qualities in the way of going of horses, forward and straight. Now, he has been taking us through dock through pole, section by section of the horse, and he's going to go back over them. You know, all of you should delve into the rest of the sections of this book, but it will be much more fruitful for you delving into the other sections with this section and this deep study that we've done as a foundation or a basis, just as the weight of the seat is the support from which the leg and the hand aids can act. It's this is a very good, well, you know what? It's kind of like the spine of it. So anyway, he's been talking about the forward going, which is the horse's own desire to carry, straight, which means that the horse's spine, the horse's right hind tracks into the right front, left hind tracks into the left front upon the line of travel, that the horse sees himself, because he has to see it or he can't have a desire to carry on it, right? And the second quality of straight, it's those feet tracking. He starts to find his footfalls upon the line of travel, and that his spine covers the line. The horse becomes the line. Then, when this gets connected with a normal contact, which is a sensitive, fine-feeling contact with a soft leather rein that is shortened to an ideal length so that the rider's hand can really join the horse in the mouth to remind him, oh, my darling, stay soft at your jaw. Yep. And then you just follow one or the other. This is all going, and now I kind of lost my train of thought. Sorry, I've been ill. It's all finishing up is what I'm saying. And he is talking about the neck, and he talks about necks that are incorrectly built. And I just think that's a rabbit hole to not go down. The neck is risky because it's sort of like the rider's upper body isn't touching the horse or the saddle. The neck just has these 7 vertebrae, and it's out there in space connected to the head that's 5 feet yonder. And so the neck is at risk of degenerating into bends and positions that are wrong for the purpose of riding. And to prevent these, like, you know, it's like if I'm perplexed by something, do I go, ah? And, you know, if the horse is perplexed by a line, he might go, oh, I don't know. We got to keep everything straight, loose going forward. And the neck, it's just like your neck. You do not want someone dicking around with your neck if you're trying to perform an athletic thing. What you want with your neck is for it to remain flexible and pretty much to just be on the same track as the rest of your body, which is basically decided by the eye. So instead of trying to solve every variation in anatomy, because everybody is a little different, every horse is a little different. If we just think, I need to keep this section of the spine loose and properly spaced, so as it's going to align over my line of travel, I need to keep them in correct relation to each other. if individual vertebrae are not in the correct connection, that is, if their contact surfaces are not in proper alignment, they will interrupt the transmission of the going, the transmission of the motion, momentum, and impulse, including information, i.e. the aids, similar to the way a crack or break in a hard resonant body interferes with its vibrations. That's not, he said that, I didn't say that. I'm wary of even bringing up the word vibrations into public discourse these days because everyone's into vibe. And this isn't a vibe, this is a technical thing. I literally need literally need his neck to be loose, but participating in the whole way of going. In my opinion, it is the height of vanity to think that I'm going to arrange the neck. Although I will tell you that my horses historically have, they go in a beautiful shape and they have a beautiful neck because I don't dick with them. I ride them forward from behind, and then the natural shape of they start to find their back and use themselves, and that includes the muscles and ligaments that operate the neck, and then the whole thing becomes naturally beautiful according to the line that we're on. The horse becomes beautiful in himself. We don't really make horses beautiful. Horses become beautiful when our riding them forward and straight allows their best use of self. That actually is technically the definition of way of going, best use of self. Okay. Or their use of self. So I just finished saying that looseness and what did he say? Looseness and this arrangement on the line of travel for this final section of the spine, the cervical vertebrae. What does come into play that you can start to really notice and you should pay attention to is that the neck is coming straight out of the withers. Most riders are bringing the neck to the inside of the line of the spine. And that's because the horses let them. It's easier to bend the neck than to bend at the girth in the body. It's easier for the horse, and most riders fall for it. But it is a career-ending mistake. When we talk about spine over line as one of the criteria for straightness, it's the entire spine, pole, dock through pole. So that includes those neck vertebrae. So you can make sure, check yourself, that the neck is coming straight out in between the middle of the withers, not slightly to one side of center. Like, I don't know, how wide are withers? Like this wide? It's got to be coming right out of the center of it, not to one side. Okay. And that's true whether you're going on a left turn or a right turn. The neck doesn't go to the neck should still be straight out of the withers, even on a hairpin turn. That's a really hard thing. I know that I just said, and very few heed it and get it. But I will keep repeating it for you guys until your horses are straight out of their withers. So they can be straight in, so that their soft, unimpeded spine can be arranged on their line of travel so that they become the line. That is when the horses become wonderful. Okay. And all I really need to do that is ride them forward from behind and have my reins adjusted to the correct length. That, and have the neck becoming straight out of the withers. That tends to do it. Okay. We do not fiddle with the neck. We do not do in-hand exercises, holding the pole up and trying to make a beautiful shape of the neck. That is completely vain. Actually, it is pomposity. If these smarter than me masters of the art attempt to work at bending individual vertebrae one after another in special exercises. It's both laughable and insulting to horses. And after I get, if my horse is going forward on these lines and my contact is correct and his neck straight out of the withers and he's loose in the jaw, any of you can contact me. Tell me when you have those going on, if you're still going to be fretting about the neck and need to know more. I don't think you're going to need to know more. I think you're going to be very satisfied, and that the judges were going to be very satisfied. You're going to be in a very good way with those criteria met. To create a condition or cause a condition that the neck will be loose or free, that is always going to be due to the carrying power of the hindquarters. So it's die Aufrichtung. It's as the hindquarters take more weight, the forehand lightens and the neck can then come free. It's like, oh, it's not, it's not like, I have a yoke over my back and I'm straining my neck to carry it anymore. It's all just loose, floating free. And that can sometimes become what horsemen call a dish rag neck, which actually can also be a little bit of a problem to have a totally like a wobbly, overly soft, loose neck. How do we steady a horse? How do we steady a neck like that? Answer: thrust. Carrying power loosens the horse. That's one of the two forces of the hindquarters. The second force of the hindquarters, thrust, steadies it. So here we are back again at carrying power and propulsive force, the two forces of the hindquarters. The carrying power, when it starts to function well, will result in a neck that's freed and loose. And the propulsive force, the thrust, can now go forward through to the body. When you have a normal, correct contact and someone has explained to you how to shorten your reins to match the engagement, that neck will be steady. A good neck, it reminds me of, it's like a tropical fish. They just they're like so spread and pretty. And the steadiness of the neck. I'm just going to read this little thing he says. It is the secure connection of the individual cerebral vertebrae, or is it cervical? I don't know, with one another and their correct position relative to one another. This can only be ensured by an unweakened and well-developed thrust. I'm never going to try to arrange a neck. I can make a neck sort of dish rag the way these faux French people do, hoisting the pole up. And then you have a neck. That neck isn't going to stay because there's no thrust through it. You see? Is this making sense? Those are the main points I wanted to make. Don't try to be a neck expert. Be a riding expert. Be a forward straight expert. Get your horses loose, ride them forward straight, learn about contact. And I really doubt you're going to be going, but Jay in the neck. I really seriously doubt you're going to want to know or hear more about it. This has been many weeks now. I believe this is week 20 or 21. I have to count. And I'm sorry I missed last week. I had a very bad cold that you can probably still hear in me a little bit. Next week, I think that we are going to wind up this wonderful elemental chapter, this gift from him, from Steinbrecht, expounding on ride your horse forward and set it straight. And when we do read to the very end and finish off this chapter, which we pretty much have, but we're going to be formal about it and do page 78 next week. This series, Steinbrecht sessions, these 20 or 21 lectures, maybe it's going to be 22 at the end. I've lost count and I don't have it in front of me. These that I've left public for all of you to catch up are going to be converted over into a paid class. So you need to go back and review them now, or you will need to pay. It'll join the roster on Udemy or where I have my other classes, and it will be expensive because this is not instruction that is easy to find. I know what I've learned and what I'm imparting to you, and there is no other thing like this online. And I am aware of that. And so when I complete these lectures, I'm really being good to you guys, just having them be out here. But when they are complete, they are going to be behind a paywall.